So we will go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 5th webinar of the UNC System Course Collection Resources. Amanda just reminded me that we are halfway through after this presentation, which is fantastic. Would like to give a huge shout out to all of the instructional designers and IT folks, especially Eric Ellis, who've been working, I think, probably 24/7 around the clock the past few days to get this working. And I will say that the site is live right now. And with that, I will turn it over to Amanda to get started. Thank you, everybody, for zooming in.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you for your leadership and guidance on this project as well. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the webinar. We will share information about the UNC System Introductory Financial Accounting Digital Course Enhancements Resource Collection. Thank you to the UNC System Office for the opportunity to be part of this important project. Our team is excited to share these resources and our development process for the materials to support an introductory course in accounting. And we're going to begin by introducing our awesome team of faculty, instructional designers, and librarians from across the UNC system. I'll get things started. My name is Amanda Cromartie, and I served as the faculty lead on the Introductory Financial Accounting Project. I'm an accounting faculty member and MS in Accounting Program Director in the Department of Accounting and Finance at UNC Greensboro. And I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation to this entire team. Thank you for your time, effort, and dedication to this project. It's really been a great experience and an honor to work with you all. And with that, I will turn it over to Melissa Davis. You are muted.
Hello, my name is Melissa Davis. I am an assistant professor of accounting at North Carolina A&T University. And I wanted to thank my team for the wonderful opportunity to create this course.
I'm Susan Hermanson. I'm the Cameron Distinguished Professor of Accountancy at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. And I have enjoyed working with this great team. It's been a pleasure to work with such capable people all summer.
And I'm Mary Stolberg, and I teach at Appalachian State University in the accounting department. And I guess I've spent about 8.5 of the past 10 years teaching courses online. Not totally, but I've had that online presence. And I'm so grateful to the team members in this opportunity because I have learned about so many more resources that are available for online teaching that I can incorporate into my classes.
I'm Jan Workman. I'm a faculty member at East Carolina University, and I just echo what all the other faculty have said about this has been a wonderful experience and very collaborative. And I'll turn it over to our awesome course designers that we couldn't do without.
I'm Eli Collins-Brown, and I'm the director of the Culture Faculty Commons at Western Carolina University. And I've been designing online courses since 1998, but it was a true pleasure working with this group of faculty from across the system institutions and just the collaboration and the effort to put our best foot forward on this course. And I will say it's a really wonderful course. So it's been an honor to work with everybody, and then I'll pass it on to John.
Hi, I'm JD Hawes, new to the instructional design team at Western Carolina University. Prior to that, I was 10 years as Blackboard support. And I cannot thank Eli enough for roping me into this project. I have learned so much about instructional design in the last month. Like I say, I've only been an instructional designer since February 1st. So this has been a real trial by fire, and it's been a great learning experience.
Thank you both so much. And last but not least is our librarian and OER consultant.
Yes, my name is Sarah Falls, and I'm the University Librarian at UNC School of the Arts, but I've worked with OER quite a bit in previous positions as well. and also liaise from our University Librarians Advisory Council to a committee on textbook affordability. So I've been working with this a bit here in the state as well.
Thank you so much. Okay, so here is our agenda today, which includes sharing some background information about the UNC Digital Course Enhancement Project to provide you with that context of how we got here today. Then we will provide insights specifically into the introductory financial accounting creation and curation process. We'll provide an overview of our learning outcomes and modules, discuss our course content and curation, take a tour of the resources, and discuss assessments and provide suggestions on how these materials could be used. And we try to incorporate a lot of flexibility so that you can use all or just part of the materials that we're presenting today. We will conclude with additional information about open educational resources and licenses, especially as they relate to the introductory financial accounting collection. And then we will end with time for questions and answering those questions as best we can. So during the presentation, you may post questions in the chat as we go through, and we'll plan to address those at the end, or feel free to unmute yourself to pose clarification questions as we go through. However, if it is a question that can wait until the end and you don't mind holding that question or putting in the chat for the end, that would be great and would help us respect everyone's time today. Okay, so let's give a little bit of background about this project. The North Carolina General Assembly has invested $5 million in non-recurring funds for the UNC system to enhance the student experience in digital learning. And as you're all aware, in the spring of 2020, there was a massive system effort that moved more than 50,000 face-to-face courses online in a matter of weeks. Now that the initial emergency is behind us, we can use this program to help faculty and students in courses across the state this fall and into the future. The Digital Course Enhancements Program brought together teams of faculty, instructional designers, and librarians from across the UNC system to consider how to build and organize a set of materials that add value to 10 high enrollment introductory online courses. And to the extent possible, teams were asked to provide open educational resources for their course collection. So that's kind of how we started. And here's the end result. So you can see this will be, or is, the Digital Course Enhancement Resource Collections portal. You can see all 10 of the courses that were included in this project are listed. And we decided at the beginning of this project, our course title was Accounting 1. But as we went through the project, we really felt like we wanted to clarify the specific material and content that we were focusing on. And so we have changed that to Introductory Financial Accounting. And as you explore the portal, the site is live. And as you begin to explore, you may see a few other little changes and tweaks as we do continue to fine tune this resource. I would also like to mention that we will be sending out a survey, and Michelle is going to post the link in the chat. And please, if you have a few minutes to provide us some feedback on both this presentation today as well as these resources, we would love that. That would be great. And we'll also include that link again at the end of the presentation. And now Eli is going to share more about our process for developing these resources. And Eli, you're still muted.
I like that it pops up saying you are muted. That's going to be one of the memes of the century. So when we got together, we sort of talked through what a traditional course design process would look like and what were our guiding principles and the process that we were going to use. And so really identifying who our audience was going to be and who the students of our audience were going to be as well. And that guided a lot of the decisions that we made in terms of the content and the type of activities as well. We are providing in the portal not only the materials, but also a faculty resource guide to sort of explain if you as an instructor decide to adopt the course or part of it, it sort of gives you our thought process. You know, what were we thinking about when we decided to put together this content or design this learning activity or this exam. So that should be helpful for anybody who adopts part or all of the course. And then we did provide additional resources. And then there are faculty resources, and the faculty verification required is really towards the OER access to the resources that we chose. And it was, this whole project was intentionally designed around the OER idea. That, you know, we weren't going to pick a textbook because then the students would have to purchase that textbook and that might cause some problems. You know, open access educational resources evens the playing field for students who, you know, might be financially challenged to buy, you know, expensive textbooks. And then of course, textbooks always change, right? And so we intentionally looked at OER resources in terms of not only the textbook or the reading resources for this course, but we also created this course as an OER resource as well. So we chose OpenStax as our main resource, and Sarah will go into that a little bit later. And she'll sort of go through this faculty verification process that you'll need to go through. All right. Next slide. So we used a fairly traditional backwards course design process, which is, you know, it's evidence-based research on design and how people learn. Really supports this backwards design process. It's not new. It's been around for 30, 40 years. But it helps us to identify what the really, really important content and concepts and activities are for a course. So you start with the course learning outcomes, and then you identify your assessments and your learning activities and your content. And then we put those into modules, particularly since this is an OER course. You know, traditionally a lot of faculty put their content into weeks. You know, you have a 16-week semester, an 8-week semester. But we did modules because we realized that maybe someone was going to adopt not the entire course, but maybe 3 or 4 modules or 1 module. And so those modules really are based on the concepts. So it's a conceptual framework that we use. And every module is complete. It presents the overview of the module, the objectives of the module, the learning activities, the reading assignments, the homework exercises, as well as any kind of assessment or exam guidance in each individual module. So each module is also a standalone OER. Once we did that, then we went through a pretty sophisticated module review process where we at least had 2 other faculty and the instructional designers reviewing each module, you know, just to check links and just to check coherence. We really wanted each module to look very similar, even though they were designed by different people, just so that the whole course kind of has one collective voice. And then we created the course components and put those into the module. And that is ultimately what you can see when you access the portal and go into the introductory accounting course digital collection. So yeah, I think this is still my my slide. Sorry. It was important in the backwards design process. It's important that you get course alignment so that everything that is in the course aligns to the course outcomes. And this course ended up being fairly fairly broad in terms of the topics, the concepts, and everything that the faculty knew needed to be included in this course. So actually all of the course outcomes map to all of the modules. So you can be pretty confident that, you know, if you adopt just one of the modules, you can look at the course outcomes and say, oh yes, I see where those course outcomes are being met through this module. So this sure shows you the alignment of those. And then Jan's going to discuss the learning outcomes in the modules individually.
Thank you, Eli. So as Eli said, we as a group collectively came up with and hammered out and agreed on the 4 main course outcomes that you see here in the orange box. And I'm not going to read everything to you, but I will read these to you. That we felt like an introductory financial accounting course should recognize basic accounting terminology, apply the accounting cycle steps and procedures within the accounting system, create and analyze the financial statements prepared in accordance with GAAP. And then we also thought it was important to discuss challenges, limitation, and ethics within the financial accounting course. So next slide. So from that, after we hammered out our outcomes, then we went into the topics that we felt were important to include in an introductory financial accounting course. We started off saying that we would cut down and just put the minimum, but you know, we couldn't leave a lot of things out. So I do think that this is a very thorough representation. We also, the flow of the modules, these 13 modules, you'll see when you get into the course that they do follow a structure of what would be typical of a financial accounting course. We felt that was important if you had an instructor that wanted to just jump in and start from day one and use the entire course, or also you could pick and choose which modules you may want to look for resources to add to your current course, or also, you know, we hope it will be a benefit to, even if you have a textbook, these will be some additional resources that can be utilized regardless of the level of expertise of the instructor. And now Mary's going to talk about some of our specific resources that you'll be able to find in our course.
Okay, we all agreed on the OpenStax Principle of Accounting textbook, which covers, just like most of the textbooks most of us probably already use, financial and managerial accounting. OpenStax divides its book into 2 volumes, and the first is what covers financial accounting. We weren't entirely pleased with the videos that were connected to OpenStax, so we found a series on YouTube that we liked by Dave Aldridge, who's a professor in Utah, and we were all impressed with that. We also thought it was important that we include some analytics projects when possible. So there's another website called Accounting is Analytics that has been approved by the AICPA, and that we were impressed with that and included those projects whenever possible. And then we included some additional resources, some of which you may already know exist, and then others that you may not know. But Sarah vetted all of these, our librarian vetted all of these for us to make sure that we would have access to them without too much difficulty. Let me just say a little bit about the OpenStax textbook, which is designed for both accounting and non-accounting majors. Each chapter opens with and then features real-life scenarios which illustrate how accounting relates to both students' personal lives and to business and the economy. They start with a section that's called Why This Matters, which helps students get grounded in the subject matter that's coming up. And then there are features throughout that link to students and that cover these other things. These features that are included in the chapters also include ethics cases. And then at the end of each chapter, there are multiple choice and short answer questions. There are 2 sets of exercises and problems. And then there's also usually a separate section that offers thought-provoking discussion topics. For those of you who aren't familiar with OpenStax, it's a nonprofit ed tech initiative that's based at Rice University. It was initially funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And since 2012, it's been issuing peer-reviewed textbooks. So these textbooks, this textbook in some ways will look a lot like what you're already used to. It is peer-reviewed. The other advantage, in addition to it being open resource, is that it also has a cheap text version in hardback and in paperback. And most books are also available in Kindle versions or in the iBook store, again, for fairly minimal price. The free online version of OpenStax is kept up to date on an ongoing basis. And one of the beauties of this is that we can all edit it. And then if there do have to be major changes made to it, they're made every summer, and then new PDFs are issued. The Professor Aldridge series of videos are comprehensive. They're broken down into short bites. They're clear and comprehensible. They offer concrete examples of how business decision makers actually use accounting information. Unlike some of the videos I've created for my students, these are actually entertaining at points. And best of all, I think they offer a viable alternative to those of us who lack the technical expertise and time to make our own videos. Although it's not the main focus of this project, as I said, we think it's important to include data analytics projects whenever possible, and there are a growing number of those. And again, down here at the bottom, and this is not an exhaustive list for what you'll find, we've gone through additional resources, which we have curated, as we'll talk about on the next slide. After we agreed on our learning objectives and the major topics, we reviewed the materials and all agreed with what looked good and what we were going to dismiss. And through this curation process, we used student learning outcomes. We decided on the OpenStax textbook and the accompanying PowerPoint slides. We also used the same curation process to decide on the videos. While we focused on the Aldridge videos, occasionally we included some others, but what you'll find as you go through the materials is that all of them have links. So they will take you out to YouTube to find. You don't have to hunt for them. We also included learning activities, and we offered deliverables, including discussion prompt questions and different kinds of specific problems and topics to cover. We also included exam questions, potential exam questions. So to get an idea how this looks in practice in the context of one module, Amanda is going to explain and go into details about one of the modules she created.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, so here you can see a listing of all 13 of our modules, and they're organized on the Google Drive that will be available on the portal. And what I've done is just identify one of those modules that we can take a look at in more detail to give you a clear understanding of what content and resources are included in each module. And here is Module 9, Long-Term Assets. And when you click on this folder, you'll find an overview of the module, exam guidance for that particular module, PowerPoint slides, and other supplemental materials relevant to that module. Here's the module overview. We provide in every module, you'll have an introduction for that module discussing the key information that will be covered, a listing of the topics in that module, and the module outcomes. And again, I'd like to just point out and show you that for each of the module outcomes, you'll notice out to the side, we've indicated how those relate back to the overall course outcome. So we've got that linkage there. Continuing down through the module overview, under overall learning activities, you will find references to the relevant textbook material, the videos that Mary shared with you all, and PowerPoint slides, as well as student assessment activities. Then we provide an overview of suggested deliverables for the module. So this is all at the overview level. From there, we take each of the topics that we identified for within the module, and we go through each one and provide specific guidance on readings that are specific to that topic, videos specific to that topic, as well as activities, including those discussion prompts that would be relevant just for that specific topic. So again, we're trying to create a lot of flexibility in using these resources where you could take the module as a whole, or if you just wanted to use a piece or one or two topics from that module, it should be pretty easy to find and extract the information that's relevant for your course, and to make it as easy as possible to use the materials in whole or in part. And now Melissa's going to discuss our assessments in more detail.
Thank you, Amanda. Our course assessments. We have a variety of assessment suggestions, including the following. The first one is discussion prompt options by topic. Amanda discussed that a little bit. These discussion prompts can be used in an in-person or virtual class session or for a discussion forum. We also have homework assignments from the OpenStax textbook. OpenStax provides multiple choice, short answer questions, exercises, problems, and thought provoker questions, which we suggest for the homework assignments. We mentioned the optional analytics projects. Where possible for each module, we suggest an analytics projects for students to complete. We also focus on collaborative tests and quiz questions. We suggest that students collaborate in small groups to provide test and quiz questions. This activity encourages engagement and critical thinking. This could be developed into a competition between the groups. This is one option for building a robust and unpublished source for quiz or exam questions. We know when we use test banks often, sometimes the answers are there. So when you have the students create their own kind of questions for the test or quiz or just different things like that, we can use those for the exam setting. So we suggest selecting a few of those top questions for quizzes and exams. As far as exam guidance, this particular textbook did not have a test bank, and we could not locate another open access source for a test bank. In addition, we agreed that test banks are largely ineffective due to availability on the internet. Therefore, we took a different approach and provided a guiding framework for exams and open-ended questions and problems. The open-ended questions could be configured into multiple choice questions for larger classes. So basically what we did, if you go through the faculty guide that we provided, we would use OpenStax and we could provide problem A or just a set of A problems for the homework, and you can use problem B or exercise B for your exam. You could also use the collaborative questions that could be exam questions as well. Next slide, Amanda. Throughout this project, we were careful to consider who would be using these resources. So we thought about 4 different types of instructors that would use these resources. The first would be the novice instructor. For the novice instructor, you will find an organized course structure highlighting key content areas and suggesting activities. For the new to online instructor, this course offers a structure to follow and suggestions for engagement that can easily be adapted to online delivery. For the experienced faculty, our goal was to provide new ideas, engagement activities, and links to resources that could be shared with students seeking additional support. We've also curated additional resources that are open access and may be beneficial to instructors as supplemental materials. I know for me, I'm used to teaching online, but going through this project, I learned about so many different resources, and I'm so excited to incorporate those in my classes. So I think even as an experienced instructor, if you really take the time to go through what we provided, it will be beneficial. And last but not least, this course can serve as a bridge to the OER course. We used all open access resources that can be used in any learning management system. So this can be a bridge to create an open access course. So to conclude, our librarian Sarah will share more information about open educational resources and benefits to students.
Thank you, Melissa. So I'm going to go over the benefits of OER. Open educational resources are described as, or defined as rather, openly accessible course materials that are placed online for faculty to adopt and adapt for their own classes through flexible and easy to understand licensing terms. And that's a really critical part of OER, is that these are still resources that have licenses, but the licenses reflect their open nature and they help guide faculty in terms of what you can do with these resources. OER have many possibilities and positive attributes, and a few of these include contributing to lower textbook cost burden. So in larger programs where we see widespread OER, we really do see the textbook burden overall go down for students significantly. It equalizes access for students who might have had to have otherwise waited for loans to buy their book or couldn't afford the book, and also provides students a resource that they can use and refer to after the semester ends, so something that they can keep going back to refer to. For faculty, OER provides the opportunity to author and adapt materials for greater currency and curricular connection, as well as bringing about community and collaboration with those in their disciplines. Open access is a slightly different, and it's a term that refers to materials that are freely available online and may support but aren't necessarily created for courses. A mix of these two types can help faculty provide supportive content while helping students to connect to professional organizations and other standards-bearing communities early in their careers. And that's certainly the really nice mix of materials that you'll see with this course, is that you do certainly have the curricular materials, but there are also those connections to professional practice and community. Amanda, could you advance the slide, please? Thank you. For the larger overall course enhancement project, the decision was made early on, as you've heard, to work with OER to provide access to materials for all students and faculty across the system. So that was a big problem, was that, how would we do that? And for this team in particular, this process introduced them to not only new materials, but kind of a new way of thinking about textbooks and access. And I think we've heard that echoed here today. The accounting team, as most others, did choose their textbook from OpenStax. We only had one team that did not, and it's because a textbook wasn't available to them, but all the other teams did choose OpenStax. OpenStax are accessed fully and freely online, and as you've heard, you can order print as well. And these actually can be edited by faculty for both currency and accuracy. So if there are pieces that you like or don't like, you can really mix and match, and there's a third-party website that you can use to make edits and then include that back into your class. You do need to sign up for a faculty login, and you do that through the OpenStax site. There can be a tiny bit of a lag time. Typically, they try to turn these around in 48 hours, but during the COVID emergency, they have been really slammed with requests. So hang in there, you will get verified, but they will ask you for verification, which is typically a website page that confirms that you are a faculty member. This then gives you a broader array of materials that you can access beyond the text itself. So in this team, in the accounting team, they chose to augment the text they were using with a variety of other open materials. And this, of course, included the videos, texts, and professional organization content. And they found additional materials in what are called OER repositories. One in particular they used was called OER Commons. And this gave them access to a number of different projects that they could take a look at and choose from. One thing they observed to me was that they didn't find as much freely available open access material for accounting. So maybe that's a challenge I'll put in everyone's ear, a bug in your ear, that I think maybe this is an area that could use development for the better of your community. Common to all of these practices involved in gathering open resources is dealing with licensing and copyright. These can be murky areas at best. So we were careful to document rights and usage guidance throughout the faculty guide. On the faculty resource guide at the bottom of the textbooks list and the additional resources page, you'll find a list of the citations with usage guidance. Some have Creative Commons licenses, but most have more specific rights statements embedded on there. And I've tried to decipher what those mean for you. If you have any questions about these resources or how to adopt them any further into your classes or using additional OER content, it will be helpful for you to reach out to your campus librarians who deal with OER, ELE or distance learning, or who liaise to your disciplines. So for most of you, that would be your business librarian, can help you figure out who you need to talk to. They can provide you with further help in mapping your needs, from identifying resources to content creation. In addition, a more general resource on OER in this project is available as a part of this course and is linked from your faculty resource guide. And I think I'm it. So now we're on to questions.
Yes, we'll open the floor for any questions. Is there anything in the chat, JD?
Let me double check.
I can start off a question. So how much do each of you think that you will incorporate these resources into your own teaching for summer and fall?
I'll start. I know I was excited to find some of these resources that I didn't necessarily, I knew I'd heard of some things, but I had not gone through and thoroughly reviewed them. And so especially, I really liked the discussion questions that we came up with. They gave me a lot of new ideas for engagement in I've been teaching online for a long time, and I have discussion boards, but also in my Zoom sessions, I plan to include more of those in my live sessions with students to increase the engagement in those sessions and the analytics projects as well.
I'll go next. I also plan to use it in my class. I'm teaching a class of 200 in the fall. And so I feel like if I add videos and those supplement the ones that I've already done for class, that it makes it a little bit more unique. Plus, I think Aldridge does such a nice job on his videos that I can kind of plan around those videos and then plug in things where I need. But then like Amanda, I like the discussion questions in terms of adding some life to the discussion boards and to Zoom classes and so on.
I'll go next. The discussion prompt questions I'm definitely going to use. I think if you go through all of the discussions that we have by module, it gives a different, I guess, kind of feel to what we're used to, because normally we might get discussion prompts from textbooks, but these were all discussion prompts that we created. So they're all new. They're not something that you can Google on the internet. It's right there. It came from, all of us. Another good thing is the analytics projects. One of the analytics projects that we linked to, I actually did implement last semester, and it went over very well with the students. The other thing that I think is beneficial is the extra practice. So the book gives extra problems, it gives extra multiple choice. So it kind of gets the students away from just a particular textbook. It lets them see things and be able to see different type of questions versus what they're just used to following their textbook and doing the homework. And I guess the last thing that I would say that we would use are the thought provoker questions. So if you look in the textbook, the book gives you thought provoker questions where it helps the students think about how does this really apply to what your major is or what the real world situations are. It also helps students just kind of see what is the big picture about accounting. So pretty much all of the resources that we've come up with, I will use in some kind of fashion.
I'll say, if you want it from all of us, this really opened my eyes not to be tied to one particular publisher or one particular textbook. And I just thought that that was, I guess I've been teaching so long that you get kind of stuck into that where, oh, okay, new edition, here we go. And I thought this was kind of liberating in a way that we have way more options out there. And using them, as my colleagues have spoken about as well, I just think it opens up a lot of good possibilities. You know, you can use it in face-to-face structure as well, but I think especially because of our unusual environment we may still be walking through. I'll say it that way. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but.
Well, I echo what everyone else has said. I'm in a unique position because I want to see how far this will go. So I've asked my department, which we decide on our textbook as a group, for permission to see if I can implement this course and go with totally online resources in the fall. And so they're voting on this week and will get back to me. My chair did a Google vote to see about that. But if they were to turn me down, I would do what everyone else has said, which is I really like our discussion questions. It's made me rethink how I go about doing tests, because I think all of us, or a lot of us online, use multiple choice questions, and we're frustrated now because they get out so quickly to the students, the solutions do. So I'm just excited to use all these materials. And one other thing that hasn't been mentioned is that the OpenStax textbook chapters have these features, which I mentioned in my discussion, that I think are really valuable. For example, in ethics, there was a discussion about Al Capone and forensic accounting and Bernie Madoff. And there's some really good thought-provoking excerpts about how this relates to their personal lives. And so even if I don't end up using the textbook, I'm certainly going to take some ideas from it in terms of starting discussions for my classes.
There was a question about whether these materials complied with ADA, and we just provided this in a format that you could put in any kind of learning management system. Across the system, we're using 5 different types of learning management systems. So we were really careful not to design this for Canvas, for Blackboard, for, whatever it might be. And so if you're unsure how to use these materials in your particular version of a learning management system, I would contact either your IT department or your teaching center and ask them to help you. And they should also be able to check accessibility, in terms of inside the LMS, whether it's accessible or not. We didn't have an ADA expert on this, but I'm pretty sure that OpenStax has to comply with the US government's ADA requirements as well. So, as far as we know, these things are ADA compliant. So they have a challenge for you all. I said, when are you going to do managerial accounting?
I will say that the structure is there, and the OpenStax, there is a volume 2 that would lend itself very nicely to using this same structure and applying it to the managerial course as well.
Right.
Now, from my perspective, as being someone who's relatively new to instructional design, I know when I'm going to be meeting with faculty now and they're considering a change in textbook, I definitely need to keep in mind these open educational resources, because the quality of the text that was selected here was really pretty extraordinary. Mm-hmm. It is comparable with any of the big publishers.
Someone asked about PowerPoint slides, and they're provided within each module.
We also had a question. Someone asked if the resources are free, and certainly this is. So just by using the link that Michelle provided to go in, you can click on it. But then somebody else asked if they can register. When you click on the link into these, you just go right in. You don't have to register for anything. All of the content is available to you. If you want to get to the OpenStax textbook, you can as well. You'll see all of the student side content. You would register with OpenStax for gaining the instructor level content. So that's where it can take a few days to get that registration through. But everything else is openly accessible to you right now.
All right, well, we need to wrap up because we've got macroeconomics coming up at 3 o'clock. So if you have any other further questions, just contact one of us or Michelle at the system office, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. But thank you very much for attending the seminar, and spread the word. We want this to be passed around in the system and be widely adopted. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. You did a great job. Round of applause.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody.